Hi there, Hadley. Developing this morning, Turkish officials say those troops supported by the Free Syrian Army will cross the Syrian border shortly in a move to force Kurdish militants backed by the United States away from Turkish soil. Take a look at this latest vision, which shows a convoy of trucks carrying concrete blocks, bulldozers and diggers entering a base in a town on Turkey's southern border with Syria, and soldiers also riding in on buses. Some reports suggest this morning that there are between 5,000 and 10,000 Turkish troops along the border, but so far, no signs of an actual assault beginning. In a Washington Post opinion piece published earlier today, President Erdogan's communications director said, like the United States, Turkey does not go abroad in search of monsters to destroy, but when monsters attempt to knock down our doors and harm our citizens, we have to respond. He added, Turkey has no ambition in northeastern Syria except to neutralize a long-standing threat against Turkish citizens and to liberate the local population from the yoke of armed thugs. President Trump has campaigned on leaving endless wars in the region, but the consequences of his possibly premature withdrawal are only just starting to unfold. US military leaders have also recommended keeping troops in Syria to ensure that IS is defeated. So Trump's decision has shocked both sides of Capitol Hill, sparking a pushback from Republicans and Democrats alike, fearing it could be seen as an abandonment of an ally. President Trump disagreeing with that, though. He tweeted, "We may be in the process of leaving Syria, but in no way have we abandoned the Kurds, who are special people and wonderful fighters. Likewise, our relationship with Turkey, a NATO and trading partner, has been very good." Now, perhaps the negative response from both sides of the aisle could force President Trump to rethink this move, but the domestic political impulses driving the president's decision-making here are also unclear, and the situation appears to be fluid at best. Guys, I think the ultimate question here is what's going to happen to the Kurds? And secondly, Hadley, is this perhaps a consequence of John Bolton leaving the White House? Certainly someone like him would disagree with something like this. I'll leave you with that thought. Back over to you.
Well, guys, it's not just John Bolton that would have a problem with this decision. We've also heard from the former head of U.S. Central Command, General Vodal, saying essentially that it didn't have to be this way, that there was another way forward here, that we didn't have to abandon the Kurds. But look, at the end of the day, I said it yesterday and I'll say it again, from the historical perspective, Matt, the Kurds, unfortunately, often getting the short end of the stick here. And certainly if you look at this from the president's political outlook, he said it again and again, that we needed to get the United States out of foreign wars, that we need to bring the United States troops out of these countries here, especially here in the Middle East. And we've seen over the last several months, including most recently in Saudi Arabia, that the president has been willing to really, dial up the U.S. presence in the region. So if we're thinking about this from the political perspective, it really does come as no surprise that he would be willing to pull back here. We're in an election cycle.
Yeah, well, some interesting comments out of the Pentagon as well. A Pentagon spokesperson saying that the US Defense Secretary and Chairman have been consulted by President Trump over the last several days over possible Turkish military action in Syria. The Pentagon's position is that establishing a safe zone in northern Syria is the best way to move forward. But this, of course, raises questions about ethnic cleansing going on, of course, in that northern border area. And take a look at some of the protests that we saw as well overnight, staged just outside of the White House as well. People carrying signs and placards saying that this isn't how the United States should essentially treat its allies in the region as well. So undoubtedly there will be further consequences to come for the president from some of these grassroots parts of the community if, of course, we do see further violence and an escalation when it comes to action. And, of course, remember that President Trump already said that he would decimate or obliterate the Turkish economy if Turkey does overstep the mark.